We like to talk a lot on this channel about how I lost 55 pounds, kept it off for the last 6 years, and I went from keto to carnivore. 3 years and 3 years in a nutshell. And I love my life on carnivore a little bit better than I did on keto. You can be your own health coach. You can be your own nutritionist. I give you permission. You have my permission to start today. If this is the first time you're here, welcome home to Love Style. We are glad to have you. Please comment if you want to talk to me about anything at all. I am very open and I love hearing from you. It is your birthright to be healthy, happy, to heal from the inside, lose fat, and have great success with the way that you eat or your lifestyle in general. Nobody else can dial this in the way that you'll be able to do for yourself. And the important part about dieting is the sustaining of it. Now, I was looking back at some old videos of myself because I've been doing this over 3 years and my channel is growing very slowly. Check out some of my old videos. Maybe you can help me out. Subscribe, send this to a friend, put a thumbs up. I appreciate you so much. And I was looking back and I realized I didn't really look any different 3 years ago than I do today. Now, I lost originally 55 pounds by going on keto and over to carnivore, a lot of intermittent fasting in between, being my own health coach, trying to dial this in the way I see fit. There are no two people on this planet who eat the same, and even if they did, I don't think their bodies would react the same to the same foods. We're so different from each other. And trying to tell somebody or convince somebody to try a diet that they don't resonate with completely is part of the tricky business that some of us are finding in this space. Nobody can tell you what resonates with you. Only you know. So I like to personally live by eating on a 90% carnivore diet. 10% of the time I am a human. 10% of the time I include some foods that I will mention later to give you an idea of what works for me. I've tried different things. I don't mind experimenting, and you may need to experiment and you may already have. But if you're not finding the success that you deserve, I want you to consider dialing in a protein positive lifestyle the way you best see fit for your body. I might be able to save you some time because I feel like I've made all of the mistakes. So we know now all of the benefits of eating a protein positive lifestyle, a carnivore lifestyle. And we know that the bulk of our nutrition comes from meat, comes from protein. We are made of protein. All of our cells, every bit of us, contains protein. One thing we're not confused about in this world right now is protein. They're even trying to make fake protein all over the place. You've seen these Beyond Burgers. I can't talk too much about it on this video because they'll probably take it down. But they're trying to create fake protein everywhere you look, especially in the protein shakes. And I feel like the protein shakes are really not that good for us. I know some people use them for a short amount of time, and that's kind of okay, and I've done that, guys. Please let me know of your experience in the comments with protein shakes, good or bad. I'd love to hear from you. So protein is trying to be created when really we know where it comes from. It comes from a living thing. Now, vegetables have a small bit of protein, but I'm talking about meat. I'm talking about meat with the fat attached to it. There's where our nutrients begin. So for me, if I always make sure I include a healthy, good amount of meat in every meal, I become satiated and full and I don't start looking for bad foods. So you probably already know that, but I want to just drive it home today because when we start with protein, we do much better. If you hate these words and phrases, keep listening. Discipline. It's a process. One small step at a time. Give it time. Have some patience. I hate these kind of words. They make me think of restriction. But I'd love to replace them with the words like simple, easy, taking a shortcut, fast, smarter, not harder. I love that term. And when I eat on a carnivore diet, a protein forward diet, I know that I am just saving myself a lot of heartache. I do not like to wait. I am not very patient, and I may not be very disciplined in all areas. And to me, it's easier in my mind. I don't get tripped up with all the measurements on keto and all the different things you can have and all the different recipes. That was fun for a while when I was on keto, but it got old after a while, and I started to just really plateau for a very long time. Side note for a second, in case you haven't heard, sugar is the number one abused recreational drug out there. I guess it's more addictive than cocaine, they say. So if the standard American diet is being fed to us constantly, with all of that refined sugar especially in there, in the corn syrup and the fake sugars everywhere that they're trying to disguise with different names, are in our diet, how are we expected to live a healthy, normal lifestyle if we're being fed the most addictive, abused, recreational drug in the world, which is sugar? So we can't be doing that. We know this now. There's no question. I'm going to also add carbs next to sugar because carbs in the body turn into sugar most of the time. Now, different carbs for different people at different times may lead to a different outcome. And I do want to open up the discussion with women in particular. Women of a certain age, women over 40, for example, can use particular carbs occasionally in the right time of day to boost our metabolism. Now, this is a brand new idea for me because I've always thought that carbs are kind of the devil. But sugar itself is the devil. But carbs in the body can turn into sugar and stick right around the middle for us older ladies. So there is a way to dial this in, and I'm learning a lot more, and I will share it with you along the way about fasting, about doing the same thing too often. If we do the same thing too often, our body gets very used to it. In a nutshell, whether it's an exercise program, how we eat, if we eat the same foods all the time, I do think there is something to personalizing a protein-forward diet to fit your needs at different times of day, different times of the year, and even different times in our monthly cycle if you're a woman. Sometimes I think we don't resonate with a certain type of diet because we don't like the foods that they recommend. Now, I know a lot of women, we eat salad, right? Especially if you're on keto. It's the big salads with the chicken on there and some bacon maybe. The bacon's great. But the nutritional value in chicken breast and lettuce is not very good for us. It doesn't do a lot for us. And I know for women, we just want to calorie restrict because, it's hard to get the fat away from our middle section mostly. And the cellulite wants to hang on. But eating salads is actually not usually how we get rid of that cellulite. Believe it or not, adding more meat into your diet, adding more protein into your diet can actually help you reduce cellulite and fat in the middle. And a lot of people go hard in the gym. They eat their salad, which has, only a little bit of nutritional value, to be honest. And then they go hard in the gym and they don't know what they're doing wrong. Well, I'm going to ask you today to do some research on the fact that the most nutritional value is in the meat first. I also know that fasting is a superpower. I eat on an OMAD, which is 1 meal a day, for the past, I want to say, year. And occasionally I'll have 2 meals a day if I'm on vacation or if I'm just hungry, but it's not very often. I feel like, for me personally, talking about personalizing this, for me personally, I won't overeat too much or look for other food if I eat once a day. I have a very healthy sized meal, mainly protein. So I will have an occasional vegetable now and then. And one of the foods I wanted to tell you that I allow is sweet potato. And there's a couple other carnivores who allow a sweet potato as part of their carnivore-ish diets. So this is, again, not black and white. This is up to you. And I like the way a sweet potato makes me feel about once a week, maybe once every 10 days, once every 2 weeks. There's some weeks I have 2 in 1 week. So that's one of the foods that I allow that I have found have a lot of nutritional value for a vegetable or a tuber. So I do want to add this, that Andrew, my husband, lost over 100 pounds within a year by switching his pasta, rice, and potato to a sweet potato with his meal. Now, he is a man, and he personalized his own diet to fit his own needs. He calls it the biology diet. And he has kept the weight off. And it's been a few years later now, and he does include more sweet potatoes than I do, for example. So that worked for him. If you've not considered replacing your pasta, rice, or white potatoes with a sweet potato, that is a very good tip. On a side note, I want to let you know that I just did an interview on Everyday Carnivore. I'm going to try and link it in the show notes. So check out that interview. It's about an hour long. I get very, very personal on Jeff's channel about some of the things that I go through. So throughout my journey of documenting most of my new lifestyle between keto and carnivore and fasting and all the things I've learned, I have noticed and learned the hard way that I'm still getting to know my body, my brain, my triggers, and I learn something new every day. And one of the things I've come to recently is I am doing the same thing too often, eating the same foods too often, doing the same exercise routine, which right now is walking, a lot of walking and hiking, which I love that. But I am going to have to incorporate some bit of change in here. I'm going to try and take on yoga a little more meditation, and some strength training. So stick with me on my journey this year if you want to see how it all turns out. I do want to share with you that going from keto to carnivore has been different in a couple of ways, and a lot of people want to know this. Keto allows for a lot of freedom with recipes, and it can be very, very fun. And I do eat keto sometimes, but it allowed just a little bit too much freedom for my personality. Because then I don't know when I can stop. If I make the keto treats too often, every week, for example, like I was doing for a while, I started to stall with my weight loss. So going over to carnivore and eating mostly meat, dairy, and eggs has been a triumphant, successful way of living for myself. I know myself, and I know that having too much of a good thing can make me feel very free, which is great in one way, but not always great for my health. I can tend to go overboard, just like with drinking. I drank since I was a teenager, and I had to give that up a couple of years ago when I began my journey on keto and then here over to carnivore where I am now. And I've not touched a drink, guys, because I can't have one drink. So I know myself so well that I know I cannot include alcohol in my diet. Alcohol is not recommended for any diet. Now I know you listening out there, you like your wine. I loved my wine. I didn't just like my wine occasionally. I loved it too much. So for me personally, I had to personalize, be my own diet coach, my own health coach, my own nutritionist, and say, Misty, you can't have one glass of wine, so you can't have any wine. Yeah, but Misty, one drink is like enough for most people. Why can't you just have one glass of wine when you're hanging out with us? Because I told you, I can't just have one glass of wine. It's like having one potato chip. You ever try that? but I can't go to the bar with you anymore because I will drink like 6 glasses of wine and then have like a blackout. And then everyone tells me what I did and I don't even remember. So I'm not having wine. So stop peer pressuring me. Fine, but can you have a mocktail or something just to make me feel better? Now I'm going to name some foods that I allow on a 90% protein positive diet, protein forward diet. We're trying to change the language a little bit. And those are dark chocolate, like 85% dark chocolate, 90% dark chocolate. I allow occasionally some honey here and there. I can get addicted to honey, so I have to be very careful. And olives, green olives, black olives, they tend to make you feel full, and they have salt in there that your body needs, a little extra salt when you're doing a protein diet. So also sweet potato, as I mentioned, some salad occasionally, some keto treats occasionally that I've made homemade. I tend not to eat anything in a package that says keto on it because it's full of crap. And that is a huge tip. Don't eat the packaged keto foods unless it's an emergency or you're on a trip or something like that. Of course, cheese is something you can always grab. A little bit of nut butter is not the worst thing on the planet. So these are some ideas, in case you've not thought of them before, as acceptable foods, low carb foods, if you can keep it in the box and not go crazy on them. Also, like garlic and onions when you're cooking some meat, occasionally is not going to hurt you. And also, avocados are very filling and very nutritious. One of the most nutritious things. Coconut is not so bad when you are looking for a little bit of something. Like yesterday, I made chicken soup, and I feel like it really doesn't taste as good without the celery, onions, and carrots. So I'm not going to stop myself from eating chicken soup on a cold November day because I'm worried about the carrots. So this is a lifestyle that I enjoy by allowing a little bit of freedom now and then, allowing some keto foods occasionally, and even some vegetables occasionally when I'm in the mood. I do want to add that including a good amount of bacon in your diet helps you feel satiated because it has the nice edible fat with the meat. A lot more eggs than you may have eaten in the past can be very helpful, and including grass-fed butter with your meals and your meats also is a very good tip to help you feel full and satiated. By the time you come around to a protein-forward diet, you will realize how easy this lifestyle is, can be, and doesn't have to be perfect. I still haven't met somebody who can do 100% carnivore all the time. It's just impossible. So if you have any questions for me, please let me know in the comments. I am here for you. We want to thank you for listening to Black Eyed Soul. That's our music group. Andrew and I record right here in this room. Please go to blackeyedsoul.com to check us out or add it to your cart on Amazon. Also, anywhere you find streaming music, you can find Black Eyed Soul there as well. Tell us if you like us. We'll see you next time on Love Style. Peace out.